Welcome to the SmartKeys podcast.
It is fantastic to be back with you.
I want to start today by painting a picture, one I think a lot of us are going to recognize, and honestly, it kind of haunts me a little bit.
Okay, I'm listening.
It's 5 o'clock on a Tuesday. You have been sitting at your desk, since 9 in the morning?
Mm-hmm. The whole day.
You've had the coffee, you've been hammering the keyboard, you've moved all the cards around on Trello.
Color coding the calendar.
Exactly. And you've archived this, mountain of emails. You are absolutely exhausted, but then you look at your actual list of big rocks, the projects that move the needle, and you realize you haven't crossed off a single one.
That is a painful realization. It's that specific kind of exhaustion where you feel drained, but unaccomplished. It's the worst kind of tired.
It is. It's the productivity pitfall, and that is the central tension we are unpacking today. We're doing a deep dive into a really comprehensive guide called Productivity Pitfalls. Don't spend more time organizing than doing.
This is a really strong piece of work from Felix Römer. And for those who don't know, Römer is the founder of SmartKeys, but more importantly, he's not just writing from some academic ivory tower. He has, over 15 years in the trenches of e-commerce and digital marketing?
So this is battle-tested.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He has seen the burnout, he's seen the inefficiencies in high-growth teams, and he basically built these systems to survive them. This isn't just, drink more water and wake up at 5 a.m.
Right.
This is about the structural mechanics of how we work. It's a technical look at human efficiency.
And that's our mission for this deep dive. We want to dissect those specific patterns that steal our time, and often we don't even notice, and then provide the strategic frameworks to stop just organizing work and actually start doing it. So let's start with the diagnosis. Why is there such a huge disconnect between how busy we feel and how much we actually produce?
Well, it comes down to what Römer calls the busy work illusion. In the modern workplace, we've confused motion with progress. Tweaking a to-do list feels like work. Responding to a Slack message feels productive. But really, it's just logistical overhead.
It gives you that little dopamine hit, though, right? I checked a box. Even if the box was just move meeting to next week.
Precisely. It creates this false sense of momentum. But the real villain here, and the source material is very specific about this, is the hidden cost of interruption.
Okay.
I think we all intuitively know interruptions are annoying, but the data Römer cites is, it's actually terrifying.
Lay it on us. How expensive is a quick tap on the shoulder or, a ping?
According to the research and the text, it takes, get this, approximately 23 minutes and 15 seconds
Wait, what?
to regain full focus after an interruption.
23 minutes. So if I just check an email for 30 seconds, I'm not just losing 30 seconds.
No, and that is I think the core misunderstanding most of us have. We think of time as like a bank account where you withdraw 30 seconds and you have the rest left.
Right.
But focus doesn't work like that. It's about cognitive gears. When you switch tasks, your brain has to unload the context of your deep work, load the context of the email, process it, and then try to reload the deep work.
It's like a computer rebooting.
Exactly. And that reloading process, that's what takes 23 minutes to get back to peak efficiency. You might be working again right away, but you aren't working at full capacity.
That explains so much. If you get interrupted 3 times in a morning, the morning is mathematically gone. You literally cannot get into a state of flow.
You're just operating in a state of fragmented attention. You're constantly paying this tax just to refocus your brain. And this leads us directly to the other big lie we tell ourselves to cope with this.
Multitasking.
Multitasking.
I'm great at multitasking.
Yeah.
Said everyone in every job interview ever. It's like a badge of honor. But Römer pops that bubble pretty hard, doesn't he?
He destroys it. The source highlights that only about 2.5% of the population are supertaskers. These are like biological outliers who can actually process 2 complex things at once.
2.5%. So statistically speaking, if you are listening to this, you are not in that group.
Highly unlikely.
And neither am I.
For the rest of us, the other 97.5%, multitasking is just rapid task switching. And the cost is what researchers call attention residue.
Okay.
You switch from project A to project B, but a part of your brain is still stuck on project A. It's still, processing the previous problem.
So you're doing both jobs poorly because you're never fully present in either.
Exactly. Error rates go up, creativity tanks, and you end up with that fried feeling at the end of the day because your brain has been sprinting back and forth for 8 hours. It's just high effort, low yield.
Okay, so the diagnosis is grim. We're addicted to shallow busy work, we're bleeding hours through interruptions, and we're deluding ourselves that we can multitask our way out. Let's pivot to the solution. Römer suggests we have to start before the laptop even opens.
Right. Strategic alignment. You have to win the morning before the morning even starts.
The text mentions a specific rule. Name a specific outcome. This seems simple, but I usually just open my email and see what's on fire. That's my morning routine.
And that is the fatal error. If you open your inbox, you are immediately playing defense. You are reacting to other people's priorities. Römer argues you need to define what success looks like for you that day. And it has to be specific.
So not just work on the Q3 report.
No, that's way too vague. Vague goals just lead to vague efforts. It should be draft the executive summary and finish the financial table for the Q3 report.
Yeah.
It needs to be binary. Did I do it or did I not?
Okay, so once you have that goal, you still have all the other noise to deal with.
Yeah.
This is where Römer points to a classic tool, the Eisenhower matrix. I feel like I've seen this before. It's the 4 quadrants, right?
It is. It's the 4-box grid. And the whole point is separating urgency from importance.
Okay.
This is crucial because our brains are wired to react to urgency. A phone ringing is urgent. A Slack notification is urgent. It triggers a threat response.
Yeah.
But are they important to your long-term goals? Usually not.
So the strategy is to categorize your tasks.
Yes. Obviously, you do the urgent and important stuff immediately. That's a crisis. If the server is down, you fix the server. But the magic, and this is where high performers live, is in the important but not urgent quadrant.
Give me an example of that. What sits in that box?
Strategic planning, building a new skill, writing that playbook for your team, building relationships. No one is screaming at you to do it today. But if you don't do it, you stagnate.
You have to schedule it.
You have to schedule that time, or the urgent stuff will just cannibalize it every single time. It's the stuff that prevents future fires.
Exactly.
That's a perfect way to put it.
And for the rest?
Yeah.
The stuff that is urgent but not important.
You delegate it. That's for someone else. And if it's neither urgent nor important,
Delete it.
delete it. Römer says we need to be ruthless about deletion. We hold on to these tasks just in case, but they're just cluttering our mental bandwidth.
I want to touch on the biological aspect here, too. The source brings up energy management. I think a lot of us treat every hour on the calendar as equal. A 9 a.m. slot is the same size as a 4 p.m. slot on Google Calendar.
Yeah.
But my brain is definitely not the same at 4 p.m.
Not at all. Römer advises identifying your peak hours. For most people, based on circadian rhythms, this is the first 2 to 3 hours of the day. And the rule is, you treat these blocks as non-negotiable appointments with your best work.
So don't use your 9 a.m. energy to catch up on email or sit in a status meeting.
That is a waste of high-octane fuel. Save the email for when you're tired at 3 p.m. Use 9 a.m. for the hard stuff, which ties into the concept of eat the frog.
I love that phrase. It's from Mark Twain originally, right?
It is. The idea is if your job is to eat a live frog, it's best to do it first thing in the morning. And if you have to eat 2, you eat the big one first.
Translated, do the thing you are dreading most immediately.
It prevents procrastination, but more importantly, it prevents what's called decision fatigue. If you have a difficult client call or a complex proposal to write and you push it to 4 p.m.,
It just hangs over you all day.
it hangs over you. It's like a background process draining your battery just thinking about it.
Eating the frog means you've already won the day by 10 a.m. Everything else is just gravy.
Exactly. You walk around with a sense of relief instead of dread. The psychological weight is just gone.
Okay, so we've planned the morning, we've eaten the frog. Now we're in the thick of the day. Segment 3 of the guide is about execution tactics. How do we actually do the work without burning out? The source pushes the Pomodoro technique pretty heavily here.
It does, but I think it's important to understand why it works. It's not just about a timer. The standard rhythm is 25 minutes of focused work, followed by a 5-minute break.
I've tried this, and honestly, sometimes I skip the break because I feel like I'm on a roll. Or I treat the break as a reward, like, good job, you can check Twitter now.
And that's a common trap. Römer argues the break isn't a reward, it's a strategic reset. It's maintenance. Think of it like a pit stop in a race. You don't take a pit stop because the car's been good.
Yeah,
You take it so the tires don't blow out.
that's a great analogy.
If you try to power through for 4 hours straight, your cognitive decline is steep. By the 4th hour, you're working at maybe 50% capacity. But if you pulse work, rest, you maintain a much higher average level of focus all day.
And during those 25 minutes.
It has to be pure, single tasking. This is the antidote to the multitasking myth. You block your calendar for one specific task. You close the unrelated tabs. You mute the phone.
Close the unrelated tabs. That one hits hard. I currently have, let me check, 42 tabs open. I keep them open because I think, oh, I need to remember to read that later.
That is visual clutter, which leads directly to mental clutter. Every open tab is a subconscious open loop your brain is tracking. It's a tiny drain on your RAM. But there's another psychological barrier here that the text highlights, and that's perfectionism, or as Römer calls it.
Analysis paralysis.
Exactly.
Oh, this is the silent killer. You stare at the blank page or the empty spreadsheet, just waiting for the perfect idea, and suddenly an hour is gone.
And the solution provided is simple, but really difficult to do. Done is better than perfect.
That's a mantra to live by, but how do you actually apply it when you care about quality? You don't want to just put out garbage.
You set a good enough standard for the first draft? Römer suggests shrinking the decision time boxes. This uses Parkinson's law.
Yeah.
Work expands to fill the time available.
Right.
If you give yourself a week to make a decision, you'll take a week. If you give yourself 10 minutes, you'll make the best decision you can in 10 minutes and move on.
Action creates clarity. Stalling just creates anxiety.
Precisely. You can edit a bad page, but you can't edit a blank page. Get it down, then get it right.
I love that. Let's shift gears to the environment we're working in, specifically the digital environment. We are just swimming in noise. Email, Slack, Teams, LinkedIn. It never stops.
It literally reshapes your neural pathways if you let it. And the source is very firm on this. You need a batch.
Batching. Explain that for the listeners who haven't tried it.
Instead of checking email every time a notification dings, which, remember, triggers that 23-minute recovery time, you pick 2 or 3 specific windows a day, maybe 9:30 a.m., 1:00 p.m., and 4:30 p.m.
And outside of those windows,
You close the inbox. Quit the application entirely.
that feels scary. What if something urgent comes in?
This is the fear that keeps us tethered. But Römer argues that very few things are truly drop everything urgent. If the building is on fire, someone will call you. For everything else, a few hours won't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And when you do open the inbox during those batches, you use the triage method. Delete, delegate, do, or defer. Touch each email once. Make a decision. Move on.
The source also gives a really specific practical tip for when you get sucked into the infinity scroll, the mindfulness reset.
Yes. The 2-minute reset. When you catch yourself doom scrolling, don't just close the tab and try to force yourself back to work. Your brain is chemically flooded with dopamine. You need to physically reset.
Okay.
Close your eyes, breathe, stretch.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds a bit woo-woo, but physiologically it breaks that dopamine loop and allows your prefrontal cortex to come back online.
I like the idea of combining that with some device hygiene. Römer gives some real insider tech tips here. It's not just about software habits, it's about the hardware too.
Right. Keep your devices snappy. It sounds trivial, but if your computer lags for 2 seconds every time you switch windows, you get these micro frustrations. Those add up to distraction.
Right.
Run your updates. Prune unused apps. Treat your laptop like a craftsman treats their tools.
He also mentions using website blockers like Freedom or Stay Focus.
Absolutely. Willpower is a finite resource. It runs out. Don't rely on willpower to stay off Twitter. Just use a blocker.
Yeah.
Remove the option. The text also suggests creating separate browser profiles.
Oh, that's smart.
Have a deep work profile with 0 bookmarks for news or social media and a separate browsing profile.
That is such an easy tweak. It creates a digital boundary. Speaking of boundaries, let's talk about the physical and social workspace. Because it's not just what's on our screen, it's what's on our desk and who is walking over to it.
Visual noise is a real thing. The source argues for clearing your surfaces at the end of every day.
The dreaded clean desk policy. I've always fought against this because I like my creative piles.
But it's not just about being tidy. It's about cognitive load. If you walk in the next morning and see a pile of papers, old coffee cups, and sticky notes, your brain immediately registers chaos and unfinished work.
Right.
It raises the resistance to starting. If the desk is clear, the friction is lower. It welcomes you to start fresh.
Visual noise pulls attention. That makes total sense. But what about the noise of other people? Specifically, meetings.
The meeting trap. This is where companies just bleed hours. And Römer provides a strategy to reclaim hours from meetings that don't need you.
We have all sat in those meetings. The ones with no agenda, 8 people in the room.
And could have been an email.
Yeah.
Yes. The expert advice here is to develop a no strategy. You need polite defaults. If a meeting request comes in with low urgency and no clear agenda, decline it.
But constructively.
Constructively. Propose an asynchronous update instead. I can't make the meeting, but I can send you a bulleted summary of my updates by 2 p.m.
That's a power move, but it's respectful. You're still providing the value just without the time cost.
Exactly. And for the meetings you do hold, they must be lean meetings.
What defines a lean meeting?
Three things: a clear agenda, a named donor, and a decision goal. If you don't have those three, you aren't having a meeting, you're having a chat. And you can do that at the water cooler.
Right.
A meeting should be a mechanism for decision-making, not just information sharing.
There's one last piece of the puzzle here, and it's about moving from doing to leading, even if you aren't a manager. Delegation.
This is so critical for scaling yourself. You have to move away from the mindset that it's faster if I just do it myself. That is the individual contributor trap.
Right.
The goal is to do less of what anyone can do and more of what only you can do.
So how do we delegate effectively without just dumping work on people? Because I think that's why people hesitate. They get burned by bad delegation.
The text outlines a process. Select the expert, define the outcome clearly, and give regular feedback. The key here is defining the what, not the how. If you tell them exactly how to do it, you aren't delegating, you're micromanaging. You have to trust the person to figure out the path to the outcome. It multiplies your output.
So we have covered a massive amount of ground here. Diagnosing the busy work trap, restructuring our mornings with the Eisenhower matrix, eating the frog.
Pomodoros, single tasking, cleaning up digital hygiene, saying no to bad meetings.
Sounds like a lot.
It does, but if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's not about doing all of this at once. If you try to change everything tomorrow, you will fail. It's about compounding change.
Right. It's about stacking.
Precisely. If you just implement the eat the frog rule, your weeks will get better immediately. If you add in batching emails next month, your stress goes down further. These small changes stack up to create a massive difference over a year.
It's the difference between being a busy professional and a productive one.
And ultimately, it's about measuring your worth by outcomes shipped, not by how tired you are at the end of the day. We need to break the glorification of exhaustion.
I love that. So here is the challenge for you listening right now. We don't want you to just nod along and say, that sounds nice. We want you to pick one high-impact change from this deep dive.
Just one. Maybe tomorrow morning, you don't check email until 10:00 a.m. Maybe you cancel that recurring meeting that serves no purpose.
Maybe you download a website blocker right now. Whatever it is, try it immediately. Build that momentum.
And just remember that statistic, 23 minutes to refocus. Protect your attention. It is your most valuable asset.
A huge thank you to Felix Römer and the team at SmartKeys for this incredible guide. It really puts the work back in workflow.
Indeed.
And thank you for tuning in to the SmartKeys podcast. If you found this useful, please make sure to subscribe. We are going to be covering a lot more about the future of work and how to stay efficient in a chaotic world.
And if you want to see the diagrams we talked about, like the Eisenhower matrix, or read the full article by Felix Römer, you can find the link right there in the show notes. It is definitely worth a read.
Until next time, stop organizing and start doing. Thanks for listening.